Another of my favourites, Rumplestiltskin. By the side of a wood in the country a long way off ran a fine stream of water, and upon the stream there stood a mill. The miller's house was close by, and the miller, you must know, had a very beautiful daughter. She was, moreover, very shrewd and clever, and the miller was so proud of her that he one day told the king of the land, who used to come and hunt in the wood, that his daughter could spin gold from straw. Now, this king was very fond of money, and when he heard the miller's boast, his greediness was raised, and he sent for the girl to be brought before him. And then he led her to a chamber in his palace, where there was a great heap of straw, and he gave her a spinning wheel, and said, "All this must be spun into gold before morning, as you love your life." It was in vain that the poor maiden said that it was only a silly boast of her father, for that she could not do such a thing as spin straw into gold. The chamber door was locked, and she was left alone. She sat down in one corner of the room, and began to bewail her hard fate, when on a sudden the door opened, and a droll-looking little man hobbled in, and said, "Good morrow to you, good lass. What are you weeping for?" "Alas," she said, "I must spin this straw into gold, and I not know how." "What will you give me," said the hobgoblin, "to do it for you?" "My necklace," replied the maiden, and he took her at her word, and sat him down to the wheel, and whistled and sang, round about, lo and behold, reel away, straw into gold. And round about the wheel merrily went. The work was quickly done, and the straw was spun into gold. And when the king came and saw this, he was greatly astonished and pleased, but his heart grew still more greedy of gain, and he shut the miller's daughter again with a fresh task. Then she knew not what to do, and sat down once more to weep. But the dwarf soon opened the door and said, "What will you give me to do your task?" "The ring on my finger," said she. So her little friend took the ring, and began to work at the wheel. Again he whistled and sang, round about, lo and behold, reel away, straw into gold. Till long before morning all was done again, and the king was greatly delighted to see all this glittering treasure, but he had still not had enough. So he took the miller's daughter to yet a larger heap, and said, "All this must be spun tonight, and if it is, you shall be my queen." As soon as she was alone, the dwarf came in and said, "What will you give me to spin gold for you this third time?" "I have nothing left," said she. "Then say you will give me the little man," said the little man, "the first little child that you may have when you are queen." "That may never be," thought the miller's daughter. As she knew no other way to get her task done, she said she would do what he asked. Round went the wheel again in the old song, and the manikin once more spun the heap into gold. The king came in the morning, finding all he wanted, was forced to keep his word, so he married the miller's daughter, and she really became queen. At the birth of her first little child she was very glad, and forgot the dwarf and what she had said. For one day he came into her room, where she was sitting and playing with her baby, and put her in mind of it, when she grieved sorely at her misfortune, and said she would give him all the wealth in the kingdom if he would let her off. But in vain, till last her tears softened him, and he said, "I will give you 3 days' grace, and if during that time you tell me my name, you shall keep your child." Now, the Queen lay awake all night thinking of all the odd names that she had ever heard. She sent messengers all over the land to find new ones. The next day the little man came, and then she began with Timothy, Archibald, Benjamin, Jeremiah, and all the names she could remember. But to all and each of them he said, "Madam, that is not my name." The second day she began with all the comical names she could hear of, Bandy-legs, Hunchback, Crookshanks, and so on. But the little gentleman still said to every one of them, "Madam, that is not my name." The third day one of the messengers came back and said, "I have travelled 2 days without hearing of other names, but yesterday I was climbing a high hill among the trees and of the forest, where a fox and hare bid each other good night. I saw a little hut, and before the hut burned a fire, and round about the fire a funny little dwarf was dancing on one leg and singing, 'Merrily the feast I'll make, tomorrow I'll brew, tomorrow bake. Merrily I'll dance and sing, for next day will a stranger bring. Little does my lady dream, Rumplestiltskin is my name.'" When the Queen heard this she jumped with joy, and as soon as her little friend came and sat down upon her throne, she called all her court around to enjoy the fun, and the nurse stood by her side with the baby in her arms, as if it was quite ready to be given up. Then the little man began to chuckle at the thought of having the poor child to take home with him to his hut in the woods, and he cried out, "Now, lady, what is my name?" "Is it John?" asked she. "No, madam." "Is it Tom?" "No, madam." "Is it Jeremy?" "It is not." "Can your name be Rumplestiltskin?" said the lady shyly. "Some witch told you that! Some witch told you that!" cried the little man, as he dashed his right foot in a rage so deep into the floor he forced to lay a hold with both hands to pull it out. Then he made the best of his way, while the nurse laughed and the baby crowed. All of the court jeered at him for having had so much trouble for nothing, and said, "We wish you a very good morning and a merry feast, Mr. Rumplestiltskin."